don't want to let it be. If you can't set yourself free, take your mind into another place and time. Free yourself up to find the universal mind. The universal mind. The universal mind.
Live from Hollywood, it's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Mark Summers, and now, here's your host, Dan Harary.
Dan Harary, that's me. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Live from Hollywood. It's Paranormal Tonight. I'm Dan Harary. Technically, live from Beverly Hills. I know it's kind of a little bit of a lie in the title of our show, but this is my PR agency office in Beverly Hills. We're broadcasting live in living color. 2 weeks from today, everybody, 2 weeks from today is the very first day of Contact in the Desert. And it's going to be a remarkable event. And my special guest tonight, we'll talk all about it, but check out contactinthedesert.com. Get your tickets, please, soon. They're going fast. And we're going to have well over 70 of the top ufologists and AI experts and consciousness people and ancient archaeology people and geniuses. Most of our speakers, and I don't count myself as one, but most of our speakers are incredible geniuses. So please check out contactinthedesert.com. Get your tickets soon. It starts 2 weeks from today. Also, real quick, I'm excited to announce my newest book just hit Amazon the other day. I don't even have a copy yet, quite frankly. I don't have any books that I wrote, but here's a Xerox of the cover, if you can see it. It's called My Paranormal Life, and I have to read it. Supernatural Stories from a Hollywood Insider. It's a really funny book. It's ghosts and poltergeists and a gargoyle that saved my life when I was 5 years old. Angelic voices and spirit guides and things I've manifested. It's all true. It's my 3 UFO experiences. All of that is in there. I dedicate that book. The first page of the book is dedicated to my mother, and it says, to my mother, Joan, who believes not one of the stories in this book. So she called me the other day, and she thought that was the funniest thing she ever heard. Hi, Mom. Hope you're okay. Okay. My guest tonight is a dear friend of mine. Captain Ron Janix has been immersed in the UFO and paranormal communities for many, many years now, through working with various conferences, reading and researching, and doing hundreds of interviews. He has built up an extensive knowledge of the subject. Ron began podcasting 10 years ago, back in 2014. And in April 2021, he co-founded the Observation Deck, which is an online source of information on speakers, as well as a place to host virtual events in and around the UFO community. In 2023, along with Gordon Peckrell, Ron bought the Contact in the Desert conference. Ron and his partner, Gordon Peckrell, are their new owners as of a year ago, Contact in the Desert. The first day, as I mentioned, the first day of Contact is 2 weeks from today, which we all can't believe because we've been working on this project for such a long time. Also last year, Ron became a member of the board of directors of the group I co-founded with Stephen Bassett last year, which is called the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Ron is a wonderful board of directors member of the HDA. Also, Ron has a big announcement he's going to be making tonight live on my show here. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. And I think that's it. Race, let's bring in our brother, Captain Ron. And what happened? Oh, there he is.
I lost my focus. There you are.
You did, Ron. You lost your focus.
On you, though, Dan. I heard all that. I love your mom's comment. That's hilarious.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely true. My mother, Ron, when I talk to my mother, here's my mother. Danny, it's enough with the aliens already. It's enough. Find yourself a girlfriend. I said, that's my mother. Okay. She'll be 90 in October. God bless her, Mom. I love you. My mother watches my show every week. Hi, Mom.
That's awesome. Good for her, man. That's great.
Her.
You didn't have a 2 a.m. slot available for me, huh? This is the latest one you could find.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah. I know how little sleep you've been getting as it is. I figured, you might as well just keep them up as late as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. How are you holding up, my brother? How you doing?
Well, we're in crunch time now. We have 2 weeks to go, as you mentioned, so it's coming up fast. But everything's falling into place. It's going to be fantastic.
Great. Okay, so I have questions for you because that's how I operate. I'm a very linear person, and I pulled a bunch of images, Ron, from last year's show that I'd like to show as we're talking. So, Race, if you can pull up, please, slide number 1.
Awesome.
I want to give people a feel of this. All right,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Ron, question 1: for someone who's never heard of it ever in their life, have no idea what it is, how do you explain what Contact in the Desert is all about?
I would say that it's an event for anyone curious about the topic of UFOs or abductions or any of the paranormal realms. Basically, anything like you mentioned earlier, ancient archaeology, artificial intelligence, future technology, any sort of fringy thing like that. We sort of cover at Contact with the Desert. So it's a huge gathering of experts in each of these fields.
Right.
If you're new to the topic, it's a great place to learn about it. If you're already well immersed into it, it's a great place to see the experts and interact with them directly and find out the latest information they're working on.
Right. Race number 2, please. So, Ron, what are we looking at in these?
We're looking at the poster that's behind me here. Those are actually 40-foot long, those banners. They're huge. That's the lobby.
So cool.
and we came up with this idea. And the idea is that it really does kind of embrace what Contact's all about. You can see to the left there, the Easter Island heads, which represent ancient archaeology and the mysteries of the past. All the way on the right, you see the robot, and AI and the future. So it's sort of the whole gamut is sort of what we cover. Then, of course, we have a UFO, and then that alien, well, not alien necessarily, but that astronaut that may be an alien in another world.
Yeah, is he one of Eric Von Daniken's ancient astronauts, I guess, right?
Yeah, could be.
Right.
It's in the mind of the viewer, I guess.
So this is essentially would you call this the atrium or the lobby of the Renaissance Resort, right?
Exactly. It's a beautiful hotel. It's a
gorgeous
resort style hotel. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's really wonderful. Race number 3 is another view here.
Oh yeah, that's from behind the posters. Basically, that's the staircase going down to the lobby there.
Right.
Yep.
Hey, Ron, while we're looking at this picture, so my media room is going to be on the second floor, far left in the corner. I know that.
That's right.
And the HDA booth will be to the bottom right of that right-hand curve of that staircase.
That's right.
Okay, here's a question from my knees. My knees have to ask you this question, Ron. Is there an elevator?
There is, luckily for you, because it's right there by your booth too, so you'll be able to pop right over to there.
Okay. Because as much as I like,
other than that, you have to hoof it up those stairs.
Yeah, I swear to you, I just bought these copper. They're called copper brand knee braces. I bought them to prepare myself.
You're gonna need it, man. And those aren't like regular stairs. They're like this weird size. They're very short, so it's like
I remember
you run up the steps. Yeah,
I did it last year. I was there last year. Went up and down these goddamn stairs a million times. They're gorgeous. They're visually they're beautiful.
Yeah,
but my knees are
all day. Yeah,
my knees are gonna go. Help me!
Absolutely.
All right, race number 4. And who is this character there, Ron?
That's our brother, Richard Dolan.
It is. He's quite a character, man. This guy is Mr. UFOlogy.
I think he's fantastic. He's a very important part of our community.
He really is. I don't know if you saw it a couple of weeks ago. I had the honor to interview him and his wife together, Tracy. Lovely.
Oh, great.
Is she the nicest woman on the planet? Is she fantastic?
They're both great. Absolutely.
And what I did, and I told you I was going to, I said, Richard, you are the guru of UFO ufology. You are the master in the world. I said, instead of going highbrow with you, I'm going to go ufology 101. And I asked him, who was Kenneth Arnold? Who were Betty and Barney Hill? What was Roswell? And Ron, it was wonderful.
I think that's fantastic. I love to introduce people to the topic like this, and remind other people with some of those folks who they were and their important place. I do love paying an homage to that.
It would be like, here's my analogy. It would be like asking Picasso, okay, you're Picasso. When do you use blue? How do you feel about red? And what's your thoughts on yellow?
Sure,
that's how I feel with
exactly.
Dolan. But he was brilliant. He wrote.
Well, he's a historian, and that's right up his alley. He probably loves to give that knowledge.
It was just so much fun, and my mother watched it, and she learned some things. So
See,
it was really fun. But
Dan, she's going to come around.
I know. I'm wearing my mother. Okay, there's aliens. Leave me alone. There's aliens. Leave me alone. Also, what I love about Contact is you have people from Dolan and Avi Loeb and Whitley Strieber and Stephen Bassett and Nick Pope, and you have real life experiencers.
Absolutely, and they have experiencer groups that J. Christopher King does for us, where people have groups and they talk about their experiences and share with one another. And so that's another aspect of this. There's basically so much going on that you can sort of find your niche. It's interesting you were talking about asking Dolan these rudimentary questions, because we're starting something else new this year for our 10-year anniversary. We're starting several new things. One of them is on the first day, Thursday, we're going to have what we're calling lectures, but we're going to call them 101s. And they're kind of a rudimentary introduction to certain topics. And you mentioned Steve Bassett. He's going to do a 101 lecture on disclosure since 1947 till now. What's been going on in the world of disclosure. And Paul Hynek will be doing what you asked Richard Dolan, which is give you that from 1947 till now, basically a rudimentary history of UFOs. So it kind of gives you an opportunity to kind of get up to speed.
Yeah, and there he is.
There's
our brother, Paul Hynek.
I love it.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. I really like him.
I interviewed him yesterday.
Did you? Yeah, he's a really good guy. I think you were unable to attend. I think you know this. In March, I did a HDA event called The Making of Project Blue Book, the TV show, right?
Absolutely.
And Paul came to lead it with the producers of the show. And this was very cool, Ron. He brought his brother, Joel.
Awesome.
And you know Joel Hynek.
Yeah, and he's a movie maker in his own right. He's got a lot of.
He's a major visual effects guy, which I didn't know. And Joel Hynek is an Oscar winner. Did you know that?
I did know that. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that great?
It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the people that you have involved in and around, whether it's a Dolan or a Paul or a Bassett, to people who, I mean, I have friends who are experiencers who go there, and it means, Ron, your event means so much to these people. It's a community. It's a community.
It absolutely is, Dan.
Right?
And there's definitely a feeling of that. Contact kind of went away for a while because right before the 2020 event, obviously COVID hit. So they had to shut it down. So they didn't have it for a while. So 2023 sort of brought it back after being gone since 2019. So there's 4 years that we went without a Contact in the Desert event. So those of us who go all the time, it was we missed it. So it's really kind of great to be back in person now that we brought it back last year. It'll be fun again to see everybody.
And certainly since the era of David Grush. I mean, David Grush announced his announcement last year on your last day, on your Monday last year.
It happened during the event, which was
crazy.
Another one of these synchronicities that we like to talk about, Dan.
Right.
Synchronicities.
Right.
I'll tell you what, they happen more than ever for me, and I cannot express how real I feel that phenomenon is. And yeah, how great that it happened during Contact. I mean, it was a great moment. And I've heard things in the past that have happened where they've had similar things that just so happen to happen during the event. It's only 5 days a year, and something falls right on that. So
that couldn't have been timed better last year, man. That was like the cherry on your event. That was like, wow, really?
when something like that happens, I would think to myself, now, what two guys in the world would I want to hear talk about what they just heard? That would be Danny Sheehan and Richard Dolan. So guess what? We had Richard Dolan and Danny Sheehan talk about that experience. So it was really exciting.
The only thing a little too bad was that it was the last day and not maybe the day before or the day before that.
Yeah.
But still, it was during your show. It was.
Yeah. It's great.
Incredible. All right. Race number, I think we're on number 5 or 6 or 7. Who the hell knows? Whatever the next one is. All right. Who is this little lady over here?
Ah, yes. Linda Moulton Howe. Now you realize what you're showing here, Dan. You showed Richard Dolan and now Linda Moulton Howe. These two people are part of something we came up with when we had our big meeting in Mexico, which is to have a legends panel to pay a tribute. I wanted to pay our respects to these people that have meant so much to this community. So we, both of them are part of that legends panel, along with Whitley Strieber and George Norrie and Russell Targ, and it's pretty great.
It really is. It's really quite terrific. Last year, Ron, you and your partner, Gordon, purchased the event from its previous owner. And just a simple question, and Race, if you could put up the next one, I think is 7. Why did you and Gordon, what was this is just a cool scene from last year, but Ron, what was your inspiration to not only attend something that you love in your heart, but now to acquire it and manage it? What was that decision like for you?
It's another one of these synchronicities, Dan, where I had actually almost purchased it 5 years ago.
Really? No, I didn't know that.
That's absolutely true.
Okay.
I had talked, to Victoria about it. They weren't quite ready to sell. They had kicked that around a little bit, so I had several meetings with her and just by myself, and it didn't happen. And but I still knew her and Paul, and I helped with the event a little bit and did some hosting for them and whatnot.
Right.
And then turns out we found out that she was now ready to sell. I wasn't ready to buy, and Gordon did in fact purchase it. And then luckily, through a series of synchronicities, I was able to get involved, and he brought me in, which was really nice. And it's been just so awesome working with him.
That's great. Race, can we see the next one? I just love, this is just a lovely scene. I mean, I'm not sure who the speaker was, but these people, look at these people. They're having a wonderful time, clearly.
No doubt. I mean, no doubt. There's just something, I'm not one of these energy people, but there's an energy at contact for sure.
These people, like I said, I think the word, Ron, is community. You are providing a community that doesn't exist really in everyday life, and this is a very special place. People come from all over the world, and no one's going to be made fun of here or laughed at here or scorned here.
Well, that's true. They take the topic very seriously in that sense, where there's nobody. Yeah, we try to be lighthearted about things, but it's definitely we all take the topic seriously. And I feel like, like you said, it's a place where everybody can kind of come and feel comfortable talking about these things. The other great thing about this, Dan, is that we take over the entire hotel. We literally rent every room for 5 days. So the whole hotel is all part of this conference. It's not like a lot of these other conferences I've gone to. They're a small part with other things going on as well. So not everybody's really an attendee. You kind of have to find them. Everybody here is part of Contact in the Desert. So you can just talk to anybody anywhere on the entire grounds, and they're part of the conference some way or another.
Right. Yeah, I think you know this, that last year was my first contact.
Yeah.
And I had just met Stephen Bassett just a couple of weeks before, and he invited me. And Ron, I'll be honest, I said, I don't want to schlep out to Palm Springs, man. I'm going to rest this weekend. And he said, Dan, you have to go. He did. He kicked my ass. He said, you have to go. Everyone is there. I'll introduce you around. You are interested in this topic. And my book, After They Came, had just come out last year. He goes, you want to meet the right people. I said, you're right. You're right. And then I think you know this, Ron. Stephen and I shared a room.
Yeah, I know.
We're the odd couple. I mean, I'm like Felix and he was Oscar,
Yeah.
Steve Bassett and I shared a room for 3 days. And he introduced me, and boy, was I like, wow, is this something special? I'm so glad I really was, honest to God, I was so glad that I went.
Yeah, me too, man. First time I went, I felt like, oh my God, how did I not go to all of these? You know what I mean?
Right. Once you, if you are into this field and you're
Sure.
open-minded and you have an open heart, open mind, and if you've had experience or you're just curious or you want, there's real knowledge and real information. There's emotional experiences that people describe, but there's like a Dolan, like, data, specific scientific data, or a Paul Hynek. These things happened. Here's what the
Absolutely.
reactions. Yeah.
Dan, it's one thing to see it on TV or watch one of those shows or even read one of these books, which we've both read many of. It's another to sit there and talk to somebody or even at least see them on stage first person. It's way more compelling to have, a first person account like a Travis Walton, for example,
Right.
another one of the legends. Uh, tell their story first person. Hearing that live from his mouth is different.
Absolutely. I've never met him, and I very much would like to. I
He's
really do.
great. He's
I don't,
absolutely great.
if it comes up when I may need you to say, "Hey, Travis, this is Dan," or
I absolutely will. He's fantastic.
yeah. He actually gave me a wonderful review for my book last year. He read it before it was published. He said
Wow.
could make a wonderful film adaptation. And I'm like, wow, if Travis Walton says that about my dopey book,
Yeah,
that's pretty high praise, right?
awesome. He says that because he was very upset by Fire in the Sky because it didn't truly represent what happened to him, and he's always wanted to really make, word for word what happened to him
Right.
in the movie. And I struggle with this too. This is kind of ties right into your HDA organization that we were talking about. How it's not exciting enough that Travis Walton had this alien encounter with a spaceship and everything. We've got to take that up a notch and Hollywood it up and make it even more fanciful. And I don't understand that. I don't know why you couldn't just take it word for word right out of his mouth. That should be compelling enough for a film, in my view.
That's a very good point. Also, I've spoken to Kathy Martin about. Have you ever seen the Betty and Barney Hill movie?
Yeah,
It's really pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
supposedly they're making another one though.
Steve Longy, he's in our HDA group. He's
Yeah.
one of our board of directors. He is doing apparently like the real, the real
Right.
story.
I hope it's the
And
real story. Stick as close to the reality as
right.
enough. That's enough.
How does Whitley? We're just kind of riffing right now, but how does Whitley feel about the Communion movie with Christopher Walken? Did you ever talk to him about it?
Riffing is fine, Dan. I have, and I can't recall what he thought of that. That's a great question. We should address that with him now. It's been so long since that film. I wonder how he looks back on that because it also took a lot of liberties, as you know, and deviated from Communion.
Yeah, I love that movie, but when they have those little blue aliens
Yeah.
and they're doing like the twist, like Chubby Checker, I'm like, really, that
Yeah, that got a little too silly. And
you're losing me. You're losing me here, right?
Yeah, he would probably argue that's not representative of what his experience was. I read Communion. That was one of the first things that got me interested in this topic. And I remember hearing flack and hearing that the problem with Communion was that Whitley Strieber is this well-known science fiction writer. He's a fiction writer. He makes stuff up. He wrote Wolfen. He wrote various other successful books that got adapted into films. And that kind of hit home with me in 1986 or whenever that came out. And I thought, yeah, but listen, here we are, 2024. This guy is sticking to it. He's still very important and prominent member of this community. He still does Unknown Country. He still does his podcast. And I think he is more credible now than ever.
I agree with you. I saw his talk at the Conscious Life Expo, and he showed Ron some stills and some very quick film or video of what he said were aliens. And I swear to you, and I don't get chills easily, but when he was showing like these creatures and they were moving, and he said, I'm telling you, people, I experienced this in real life. This is real. I had the chills. You know, I got like up your spine. I'm like, wow. If Whitley Strieber, who I totally believe and trust, if he's telling me that's an alien, man, wow, this goddamn,
that's really awesome, and what a great experience. I mean, to me, that's one of the great reasons to come to these things, is to hear it right from Whitley's mouth. Isn't that different than reading Communion? I read Communion a long time ago. Hearing Whitley say it, showing you a clip, and then telling you what it's like, it's more compelling. And
absolutely
it's more real, and it's fascinating stuff to me.
And you got Whitley and you got Travis Walton. I mean, what more could you want? All right, we need to take a little break here, pay some bills, Race. We'll rock and roll with some spots, and then we'll come back with Ron Janix.
Hey, UFO Conference enthusiasts. We've got another great event for you in 2024. The Saucers and Aliens Kansas UFO Day in Dimension G is being held in the UFO capital of Kansas, Geneseo, on July 6th. This is a fun festival in the middle of nowhere. There will be a parade, decorated yards, costumes, vendors, speakers, and a showing of the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still. Appropriately, an 8-foot-tall statue of Gort and a statue of Plateau will be dedicated. This will be the only museum in the U.S. with these custom-made statues. If you'd like to donate to the statue project or attend the event, visit GeneseoMuseum.com. That's GENESEO Museum.com. Be sure to bring your camera when you attend the event. That's GeneseoMuseum.com.
The UNX Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the UNX Network website at unxnetwork.com. That's unxnetwork.com.
And we're back with Captain Ron Janix from Contact in the Desert. There he is. And Race, can you put up number 9, please? Hello, Ray. There he goes. All right. Ron, this is from last year, obviously. I took this photo. It's a little blurry, but I took
That's great.
I met George Norrie right before this happened, and it was so cool, man, because Stephen Bassett and I had just come up with Hollywood Disclosure Lines literally 4 days. I don't know if you know this, 4 days before contacting the desert, right?
No, I do. I do know this, and I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. And
Yeah,
then,
we had lunch in Hollywood. We came up with it, and then we went there and we told everybody Hollywood Disclosure. And George Norrie, Rod, grabbed my shoulder. He goes, "Danny, I want to be the first member of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance." I go, "George, you got it, man."
it's awesome.
It was so cool. And Dolan and Nick Pope and pretty much everybody. You know, it's really odd. I didn't meet you last year for some reason. I kept hearing your name, and I'm like, who's this Janix guy? But I didn't meet you.
I was too busy to. I mean, I didn't see anybody. It was one of these things where I was just genuinely that busy last year.
Right. I know. I'm sure you were. All right. So race number 10. There's another one of these. Look at this lady on the left. She's like, "Oh my God, aliens are real." Right? I mean, can you imagine what she's thinking, this lady?
Well, that could be that, or it could have been, maybe when you were doing your juggling act or something else that was amazing her.
It could have been, but just she's like, "Wow, that's awesome." All right.
Yeah,
So
you
Ron,
can
you've
really
been,
tell a lot of people are engaged.
yeah. This is when Dolan was this a lifetime achievement last year?
It was. It was.
Yeah. These are both our friends, clearly. We love these guys. So Ron, you've been attending and participating in Contact personally for many years. But I know this, I'm quite sure you've never had a paranormal experience personally, I don't think.
No, I have not. Nothing
So
like
how did you first start attending this show?
I was interested in the topic. I had read Whitley's book and I had read Van Daniken's books,
Right.
and I had an interest in the topic. And of course, I listened to Art Bell, and I was, I just enjoyed that topic. And I remember specifically how this happened for me. I don't remember where I found it, but I found a flyer for Contact in the Desert. This was probably 2014 or so.
Okay. 10 years, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
something like that. But I only went to a couple in the desert, and then I went to a couple in the hotel. So 2014 or 15, let's say. And I remember seeing it, and I was looking across at the names, and I thought, all of these guys are going to be in the room at the same time, and I've got to go to this. And I went by myself. I got in the car and I drove out to. This was when I was in the desert, Dan. It was in Joshua Tree.
Right.
And I just went by myself just to be around these guys, and it was 100 times better than I expected it to be. Like, I actually got to meet them, I got to interact with them, I got to meet other great people, and I just had the time of my life, and I was hooked.
You had a call. It sounds like you had a calling, right? I mean, you had an
It
interest.
certainly feels that way. I mean, I'm telling you, I have synchronicities that have led me down this path that just one thing after another. I just honest feel that way.
Well, since you and I became friends, look
How many synchronicities have we had?
You and I have had, I don't know, at least 2 dozen. I would say at least 2 dozen.
I mean, legit 1 in a million shot.
Yeah. I mean, just to anyone who's watching the show, Ron and I, one of us will have an idea, call or text or email the other, and the other will say, "Oh my God, I just
before you tell me, let me tell you this."
Yeah, before you tell me, I'm going to tell you, and it's the same exact thing, and that has happened to us many, many times.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Like usually it's within an hour or half an hour. Even.
Yeah, and I it's so compelling and so strong to me that I feel that it's beyond chance and beyond coincidence. There's something to it. I don't know what it is, but there's something to it.
And I think, Ron, those of us who are involved with you and Contact and HDA, there's almost like a magnetic. For example, my book came out last March. I met Stephen Bassett in March. We became friends in May. He took me to Contact June 1st, I think, whatever the date was. We created the HDA. And
2 months later, you were married. It's unbelievable.
A couple of months later. Right. Yeah, please. Let's not go that far. I don't like the guy quite that. But HDA, and then Margie K gave me this podcast, and I befriended you. I took Nick Pope out for dinner at Musso and Frank's. I mean, Richard Dolan and his wife text me. We're friends. Remarkable. I mean, you've been in this much longer than me. I've been in this for a year, and the synchronicities for me personally have been so wonderful. and meaningful to me. You know those. It means the world to me that I'm like, wow, I'm friends with Dolan and Pope and Bassett, and I've met Whitley Strieber. George Norrie knows who I am. Wow, this is really something. So, like you said, there's a synchronicity, but I would almost call it a magnetic attraction. Those of us who are open-minded to this universe, we're finding each other.
Well, all the people that come to this, I mean, the people that are part of our show, we have 150 volunteers that are amazing, that know this material, that know this event, that they're all part of it. I mean, it's more than just this little group of us. I mean, it really is. It's really all of it. It's just this serendipitous thing where people that come to this event, they come for the same reason. Maybe they've had an experience, or they're curious, or whatever it may be, and it's just fun to interact with them and the people that work there and the speakers. I mean, it's just good top to bottom. It's really a very unique event in that way.
I agree with you. I really do. I mean, I've been to, and I don't know if you have, I've been to several alien cons.
I have
they're,
too,
they're,
absolutely.
they're more like, oh, look, they're in Pasadena. They're more, I'm going to say the word Hollywoody, right? They're a little bit more Hollywoody.
Well, they're more Comic-Con-y. People
Yeah,
do
that's
more
right.
dress up like aliens, and they have
That's right.
like
Exactly.
costume contests, and
That's
we
right.
are trying to take more. I mean, it's always been more of a serious take on these subjects. Contact has always been, and I feel that Gordon and I may even go further down that path. We're really trying to get deeper into scientific, more credible people. We really want to really kind of shine a light on this. I mean, I keep saying that the more you look at this data, the more I feel that this deserves scientific study. And so we want to encourage that. Avi Loeb is like the poster child for Contact in the Desert, because his take on this is basically that he sees enough in the data that warrants more scientific investigation. And he's a high level guy, and he wants to put money towards investigating these things. Boom, we're right behind him. That's exactly what we want to do.
Right. I mean, you have an Avi Loeb, you have, he's not going to be there, but Gary Nolan. I mean, they're
Yeah,
heavyweight
he's not
scientists.
coming, but he's another, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. He's a good
they're-
heavyweight guy that we really would like to support and continue to have him, champion this cause. Get to
Right.
the bottom of what's really going on.
Right. These
You
are
know,
not just toothless farmers in Nebraska who see something at 4 a.m. and they're
Yeah, that
drinking
whole
50 beers.
connotation is just ridiculous. And it's just like, look, nobody, we're not saying it's aliens at all. I mean, we really genuinely don't know. I mean, we're talking about all kinds of forms of non-human communication. So we would just like to know what's going on.
Absolutely. I hope, honest to God, I hope it happens in our lifetime. I really do.
I do too, man.
I would love, and again, I'll go to my mother, but I've been telling her what disclosure means and what it is. I hope I live long enough to see disclosure. Disclosure. She's from Brooklyn. Race number 12, please. All right. So, Ron, what are some of your goals for this year's event, and what are some of the highlights that you could tell people about?
Well, the goal is, as always, to bring people together and help them educate about this, learn from the best people. If you're new to the topic, learn about the topic, see if there's something here that interests you. If you're, well versed in the topic, get the latest information from the top guys, get to interact with them, share your stories, that kind of thing. The highlights are, we're going to do 14 panels, which we've never done before either. And those have 6 people on each of them. 14 panels, and we have Women of UFOlogy, which is another new thing that we've never done before.
Right.
So that's going to be a fun thing. And, I think the highlights are George and George. We're going to have George Norrie and George Knapp together on stage for the first time in 40 years, supposedly, which
That's
is
so crazy. That's insane.
insane to me.
Insane. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And then the Turing test, we're going to do a live Turing test for AI with Matthew James Bailey and Adam Curry. We're going to do this whole thing on stage, and you could try to determine whether a computer did that or a human being. It's getting really close. In a couple of years, that's not even going to be fun anymore, because it'll be indistinguishable.
That's very clever. Erase, can we do the next one, please? I pulled some of the yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Hey, so look at that. Isn't that a beautiful? Look at these people. Major people. Look at this.
These people all have had 25 years plus of truly contributing to this community and moving, getting us to where we are today. I mean, these guys, Legends is the right name for this. I've wanted to do that for a long time. I feel like it's something that's been missing, and these guys all deserve it. They've really impacted our community, and they continue to be strong voices in this community. And it's just a great honor to have them all, and to have them all together, not only at our event, at the same panel is ridiculous.
It's crazy. And I don't know if you know this, and you probably do. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you have to have your first record 25 years earlier to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You knew that, right?
I did not, and I'm from Cleveland, and I know the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was there right when it opened. That's incredible. I didn't know it was actually that.
So,
Okay,
so
cool.
when you said Legends 25, I'm like, that's exactly perfect. It's just
Perfect.
like
Well,
the
I knew
Rock and
that,
Roll-
Dan. That's what I mean. Is what I
See?
meant was I knew that, and that's why we did that. No.
Exactly right. See, that's another synchronicity that you and I had. All right, race. The next one I think is 14. Here we go.
There
Look
we
at
go.
that.
Bree's
Look at that.
idea. Bree came up with this. We want to do women of ufology. You know, that's this community is definitely dominated by men, but don't overlook these ladies. There's some incredible women doing incredible work in this field.
Absolutely.
One
Yeah.
of them being a legend, Linda Moulton Howe, right there.
Right. I'm pretty sure, man, you're the first person to, or your contact's the first that ever did this, right? I've never heard of this before.
This is great.
It's great. It's
It
great.
really
And
is.
I've
Gotta keep
gotten
up
I've
our
gotten
event.
I've gotten emails from people going, Dan, it's so cool. There's going to be women in ufology. It's so great. I'm going, yeah, we're thrilled.
I love it. I think it's really great. And it's going to kick off our event on Friday. It's really great. And Kelly
Excellent.
Chase, like we have like young, new people into this community. And it's really great because we want to encourage that as well, because, you know, a lot of these legends are getting older and older and older. Nice to see some young people getting interested as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think Linda's 80. Is Linda 80?
I think so.
Yeah. So, and Kelly, she looks like she's about 28, 30 maybe. Yeah. You have a couple generations in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. That's great. Race, next one. Here's our buddy Stephen Bassett.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Intense up there. And yeah, look.
Look at this. Nick Pope, Richard Dolan, Danny Sheehan. I mean, come on. Michael Schratt.
Yeah. Look at that. That's a hell of a panel too, man.
It's fantastic.
And you've covered the gamut, the themes and topics of your sessions. You've really, man, you from A to Z. You guys have this covered from A to Z.
A to Z from archaeology. Todd Curtis is an aerospace guy. He's going to be talking about the sightings that he's seen in today's airlines, like the pilots and stuff. What they've seen.
Right.
So it's like yeah, it's the whole gamut. You can find pretty much everything here somewhere. We have our toe in the water of everything.
Todd Curtis is a member of HDA, and he writes reports to like you said, to airlines that unidentified aerial phenomenon are a potential threat to commercial airliners. That, you know, he studies aviation safety. This guy, he imagine the things that he's reports.
Yeah, I know. I think he's going to be very, very interesting, and it's nice to have a guy like that that's very contemporary. You know, he's reading reports a month ago.
Oh yeah, that's what he does.
This isn't 1947. Yeah. This happened a month ago, and I obviously this is why I think a lot of this stuff doesn't come out, because they don't want you to think it's that unsafe. You know.
And he's someone that no one knows. I mean, no, he's not famous, but he's going to be I think he's going to be a good new voice out in the community for sure.
Absolutely. It's great to have him, and I'm looking forward to this whole thing.
I know it's going to be just wonderful.
Even I just all of it, and the AI stuff really, and the future tech really excites me. Futurism, all of that stuff really excites me as well. Where we're
race next one, please. Who's on this one?
Well, definitely, you know who's going to host this, of course.
Right, of course. I think his middle name is Stephen Disclosure Bassett.
Big D Disclosure Bassett will be heading that one up. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the names of the people on that panel right now, but you know, it's going to be the same, you know, kind of guys that are talking about what's happening. You know, more's happening right now with that than ever before. We're gonna have Ron James. We're gonna have Danny Sheehan is on that panel again. Right. Richard Dolan, the historian who knows how that's evolved over the years. Ryan Wood. It's going to be really amazing to me. And Steve, of course, has got the current information on the guys getting ready to testify in Congress again. Right. The fact that we have a UAP caucus is amazing, Dan.
Oh, I know. And Danny Sheehan texted, I don't know if you know, Danny Sheehan texted me a couple of days ago because, as you know, the LA Times is going to do an article for us. And the LA Times spoke to Danny, and Danny is working on the next era of legislation with Chuck Schumer and Tim Burchett, you know, to try again, to get something major passed through Congress. This is unbelievable what's happening.
The UAP Act that almost went through that Schumer wrote, Steve wants to get that through in its original form. Put that right in.
Well, Danny Sheehan's working on the 2.0 version of that.
That would be awesome.
It'll change. It'll change many things if that goes through.
Absolutely.
It really will. Race, next one. Here you go. Here's your AI.
Oh yeah. See, AI is going to be great. You know, the guy that's heading that up is Matthew James Bailey, who wrote the book on the ethics of AI and talks about how important it is to instill guardrails and the importance of that, and how AI is going to tie into all these other subjects. It's AI is very important, and that's where everything's heading.
He should testify before Congress, because Congress is starting to wake up to, like, oh my God, AI is coming.
And we're going to be using AI to detect things in the sky, because it'll be able to easily identify that's a helicopter, that's an airplane, that's a satellite.
That's a question mark. That one's a question mark, right?
That one's a question mark. That's exactly right, Dan.
That's so cool. And your graphics are really quite wonderful as well. Race, next one.
Do amazing job on the graphics. Great stuff. There we go.
Before I die, Ron, I really honestly would love to go to Easter Island.
It's so far.
It's so far, but
that's the thing, man. It's so.
But imagine just like, wouldn't you just? And I mean this. Wouldn't you like to just stand next to one of these and just touch it and just get the vibe, like something?
So badly would I love to do this, Dan.
Yeah.
But
maybe you and I could do this before we go off to heaven. But honest to God, I think the vibe there would be overwhelming. I think I'd cry.
Oh, it would be amazing to see that in person. My God.
Like, how did this happen? Like, why and how did these amazing statues happen? We can't.
And they're not just heads, you know, that they're much taller than that. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I think they're 30 feet. Half of them, most of them's under the ground.
All right.
How the hell did these things get there, man?
So incredible to me. Yeah.
Me too. I love Easter Island. I love it with all my heart. Next one, Race. Oh, well, look at that.
Well.
I had to shove that one in, man. So yeah, this is the HDA panel.
Did you just go to a commercial, or are you show? Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Hey, listen, I have to plug something, right? This is our HDA panel. We have Thomas Jane, Stephen Bassett, Dave Foley, Katie Page, and two very prominent documentary filmmakers, award-winning filmmakers, Serena DC and Michael Mazzola. And I can honestly say, and I'm very proud of this, every one of those people is a personal friend of mine now. These are all my friends. So we're going to have a very interesting talk about disclosure and consciousness and how those things evolved across the media. I think it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward, Ron, to that one. You know,
of course.
That should be. And plus, we're in the Crystal Ballroom. I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be the biggest audience I've ever had.
It's gonna be a hoot in there, I'll tell you that. Yep.
That's great. I mean, I used to do stand-up comedy, 30, 40 people. I'm gonna do this one for 3,000 people. I'm gonna go hum.
That'll be a lot. Yeah.
I'm gonna earn my goose stripes that day, man. Race, next one. Okay, Ron, you have an announcement to make.
Commercial, didn't you?
Yeah, tell us about this, man.
Well, I just mentioned that I interviewed Paul yesterday. Paul Hynek will be my first guest. We're going to start a brand new podcast called Beyond Contact. and it just got picked up by Coast to Coast, the iHeartRadio Paranormal Podcast Network. So Coast to Coast AM is where you would go to see this. And we're going to start. It's going to launch on the 24th, Dan, 1 week before Contact in the Desert. Since I don't have enough going on right now,
I just was going to say, you need to start producing a show, because you've been really slacking, Ron, quite frankly.
Unbelievable. So it'll start exactly 1 week before Contact, and we'll have a new episode every Friday on Coast to Coast AM, which is really exciting to be part of that whole group right there.
That's wonderful. Yeah, congratulations. I mean,
Thanks,
you and
man.
I've been talking about this. I've been wanting this for you for a long time. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled that you have this, really.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited to be part of this whole thing.
Well, I would imagine you'll be recording one of these at Contact itself, one of your shows.
I don't have time, but I will have one pre-recorded.
I see. There you go. Okay. And I've told you this standing offer. If you ever need help with ideas for guests or anybody or anyone on HDA,
I know where to find you, Dan.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good, considering we text each other 19 times a day.
That's right.
All right. Here's a off the wall question. As a kid, and because I don't really know, I mean, you and I are very good friends professionally. We are very good friends, but Ron, our lives, you and I, our friendship revolves around aliens and UFOs. We don't know each other really personally outside of aliens and UFOs. So as a kid and as a teen, what kind of things were you into? Were you into sports or comic books?
Yeah, none of this.
Rock
music.
music?
This at all. I was very 3D world. I didn't have an interest in any of this until I got to college. No, I football, wrestling, baseball. I played baseball for like 15 or 18 years. I mean, I played baseball like from like literally 5 years old till 18.
Did you do T-ball? Did you play T-ball with that little stick?
No, when I was little, we didn't have T-ball. We had softball.
Okay. Wow.
So I had, actual no T-ball for me, but I did, I guess 14 years of that, about 14 or so.
You were probably
I loved baseball.
Yeah, you probably were quite good, weren't you?
At baseball I was, but I also played football and wrestled, and I loved all of it. I was very interested in sports and even watching sports and going to sports. Yeah, that was me growing up. I was very much into that. I never even really thought about these sort of esoteric things very much. I mean, I always liked, even looking back, as a kid, I even liked like In Search Of or Nova. Some of those things were always interesting to me, but in a casual, cursory way, as opposed to.
Gotcha. Were you into rock music or rock concerts?
Oh my God, very much so.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, because you still have long hair now.
That was my other jam. Was I really did enjoy live music, and very much all through the 80s. I was very much into music. Very much.
Who were some? Because I'm older than you clearly, but who were some of your favorite bands of your era? In your era?
My two heroes in my era were the band Rush and the band Pink Floyd. Those are the two that stand out for me. Yes is another one. All that progressive rock, sort of the more cerebral end of things.
Spoke to you.
Yeah, it spoke to me, and it just.
Me too.
That was my bad. Yeah.
Me too. I saw Yes in 73.
Oh my God.
I'm in fifth row, right? And the opening act, Ron, for Yes, the opening act. The Eagles.
Wow,
and it's like, and they weren't known. The Eagles were like, who the hell? Nobody heard of them. We didn't know who that was.
What is this? Yeah.
I saw Emerson, Lake and Palmer in 72. I'm literally leaning on the stage. Greg Lake is 3 feet in front of me. And they're doing, still you turn me on. And I'm like, wow, these guys are amazing. Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Sure.
I'm 16.
Another prog rock band. Absolutely.
I love that stuff.
You're a drummer, Dan. So that makes
I'm a
sense.
drummer. That's yeah. I saw Pink Floyd. They weren't good when I saw Pink Floyd. I think they had an off show, but I did see Pink Floyd when they were doing Dark Side of the Moon. Something was the venue was in Long Island, and it was an echo. There's something. Did you ever see Pink Floyd live?
So many times, I'm embarrassed to admit.
Okay, so you've seen them more than I have. Okay, all right. We have a few minutes. Hollywood Disclosure Alliance, right? The mandate is essentially to bring UFO and ET experiencers, researchers, disclosure advocates together with Hollywood slash, the filmmaking community storytellers, so that they can crossbreed. Here's I see it as real people who have real stories and have real experiences, like many of my friends now, to talk to a Sean Jablonski or a Steve Longy or an Aaron Semmel. We have quite a few movie producers now that are members. And in our Slack channels, they're starting to cross-pollinate and talk to each other and share script ideas. And Sean West, the agent, puts up, hey, Agent Aliens is casting, season 29, whatever it is. And they're looking for experiencers who've been abducted and were impregnated and had their fetuses taken. So it's a very robust thing. So my question for you, our last question for you is, when it comes to, Hollywood and filmmaking and the entertainment industry, what do you think their responsibility should be to our disclosure movement?
Well, what it should be and what it is are complete polar opposite things. I mean, as I
Right.
mentioned earlier, I would like to see, to me, why is it not fascinating enough that someone actually saw a spaceship that close in real life, and then he interacted with an alien being? I would just tell it word for word. And I feel like there's plenty of people with plenty of true, supposedly true first-person accounts. Just tell it as it is. We don't have to. This requires no embellishment, in my view.
That's so well stated. It really is. You know what? The facts of these people's stories are so incredible and remarkable. Why not, like you said, why not just present them? Why do you have to embellish and change a Whitley Strieber or Travis Walton or Betty and Barney Hill? Their stories alone are unbelievable.
Much of the world has not even seen or know these stories. If you're not in this community and you don't know those stories, I think a film that was told true to the experience would enlighten a lot of other people to the realities in this community.
Absolutely. And that's why your show gives a platform, and you could go up to a Dolan or a Travis and say, hey, Mr. Walton, your story fascinates me. I've read your books. I've watched your documentaries. Even if you just hit a little handshake or you meet, like for me, I mean, still, when I met Whitley Strieber and I just shook his hand and I said, I'd like to invite you into the Hollywood Disclosure. He goes, sure. And I'm like, I walked away. I was like, wow, I just met Whitley Strieber.
That's
and
awesome.
I've worked with, I worked with Bruce Springsteen. I've met Meryl Streep and Kevin Costner. I mean, I've met everybody. But
Let's
I'm like,
hear your
wow.
resume, Dan.
Yeah, because we have a minute and a half. But no, I was like, wow, I just met Whitley Strieber. I'm friends with Richard Dolan. I had dinner at Musso and Frank's with Nick Pope. I took him out for dinner. These people are, I'm not going to say they're my heroes, but I will say I so admire these people. They're so accomplished. They're so well spoken. They have the ability to communicate, right, to many, whether it's a one-on-one with a Nick Pope at Musso and Frank's with martinis, or it's to a crowd of 5,000 people at your show. And people resonate with them and want to meet them and say, Mr. Pope, can I shake your hand? Can I get a photo? I mean, these are the rock stars of ufology, really. And you have all of them, man. You're going to have them all 2 weeks from today.
It's really great. It's really exciting.
It is great. So why don't you just give us a little plug here at the end? How can people come to contact this year?
Well, you have 2 weeks to go. You have two options this year. Now you can actually, if you can't make it in person, the ideal is to make it in person. You get a ticket at contactinthedesert.com. But if you can't, at contactinthedesert.com, we have a virtual pass this year that's going to show all of the panels. And they have done an absolutely outstanding job of creating the experience. They're going to have behind the scenes with me. They're going to have all of the panels shown in their entirety. They're going to have little glimpses of all the different activities that are happening in and around the event. So it's much more than just like a locked off camera. I can't even believe how in depth they go. There's online chats and all kinds of things happening. So if you can't be there in person, at least check out the online version. And it's going to be free on Thursdays, as is the live event for California residents. You can go for free on Thursday to check it out. Come to the party, see what you like, and then come for the rest of the weekend.
Are the virtual broadcasts going to be live in real time or tape delayed or what?
No, they're live real time. Absolutely.
So
It's
it's like you're
live
there.
streamed.
Right.
Absolutely. And
So
then
if
I'll
you,
like walk off the stage and talk to the audience like right
that's
then.
great. That's great. So if you can't go in person, check it out. Please, everybody, contactingthedesert.com. It's going to be a remarkable event. Ron, thank you for all you do. Thank you for being, the P.T. Barnum and the Ed Sullivan of this world. We need people like you to give us community, and you're doing a wonderful job. And it's been great. I've been really enjoyed being your friend and working with you this past year. It's meant a lot.
Thanks, brother. Thanks a lot.
You got it, brother. Okay, everybody, that's the show for tonight. Next week, Chanel Shans, I believe is how she says her name. Kenneth Arnold's granddaughter. Kenneth Arnold's granddaughter is my guest the week from tonight. Can't wait to ask her about. He's the first person to modern day ufology. Started with Kenneth Arnold, June 1947. I can't wait to talk to her. Thank you for watching my show. Check me out, danharariauthor.com. If you want to join our group, HollywoodDisclosureAlliance.com. Get your tickets at contactingthedesert.com. Thanks, brother Ron. See y'all next week. Thank you.